Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a professional match of Protoss versus Terran, and we find ourselves on King's Cove LE. Spawning here in the northwest corner and playing with the blue Protoss probes. He's from Croatia, he's 16 years old, and he goes by the name of Goblin. And his opponent spawning in the opposite corner of the map, playing with the red Terran SCVs, also 16 years old, he's from France. We are looking inside of the main base of Clem. So Clem and Goblin together with Raynor, I would definitely consider them to be some of the few up-and-coming pros in StarCraft. I mean, over the last couple of years, they have been getting better and better and better. And while I haven't casted nearly as many Goblin games as I have casted Clem games, over the last few months, I've become a big fan of Goblin. He's definitely not afraid to play hyper-aggressive. And I think that also in this game, he's planning to play a little bit more cheesy. So here's the thing. Goblin is sort of like the polar opposite of, for example, a Showtime. I've casted a lot of games of Showtime recently. In case you want to watch one, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it down below in the description of this video. The thing is, Showtime likes playing that super laid-back, that super defensive Protoss army, where he eventually overwhelms his opponent. Goblin, he likes playing super cheesy, he likes playing very aggressive, but what makes him so scary is that he's really good at playing macro as well. So oftentimes what he does is that he plays super cheesy, he gets that early game advantage, and then he decides to sit back and play macro instead. So he obtains an early game advantage, he gets that small little lead, he throws his opponent off of their game, and then he sits back and plays what he feels comfortable with. And I really admire that kind of playstyle. I think that's really cool. It's opposed to what, for example, some other Protoss players out there like to play, the ones that I see on the ladder all the time, the ones that end up cheesing every single match and don't really have a follow-up plan. Goblin, though, already has got a gateway going up right here, and he is gonna, I think, start chrono boosting out, indeed, 2 of those Stalkers. Clem, though, inside of his own main base, did decide to put up the barracks. He hit it in his own main, it looks like. He is gonna go for that command center on the low ground. The Reaper should be able to see that Zealot. Oh, that's moving across the map, although you have to pay very close attention. I don't think that Clem saw that. And he is gonna put down that command center on the low ground anyway. Now at this point, though, yeah, Clem is immediately gonna have to turn back around. That Reaper is gonna make its way downtown. Faces Spas and he's homebound, right? He needs to try and see if he can go back home. Clem, though, while he did end up canceling the command center there on the low ground, he did quickly put up a bunker right here on the high ground, which is actually really important. You do not want those Protoss units inside of your main base. It all comes down, though, to the amount of workers that will go down. The Reaper made its way home. It's gonna try and start picking off that probe. It will successfully get the kill, which is really important. Solid control and repair micro so far by Clem. He already did end up losing a couple of those SCVs. Bunker does finish up eventually. And while the damage has sort of been dealt so far by Goblin, I'm not sure if this is gonna be enough just yet. He tries to break through, but the repair is looking really, really solid. A Cyclone will come out here, and I think that's gonna thwart all of those units away just fine. Goblin, though, fully aware of the timing that that Cyclone should be available, and he is gonna make his way rather towards the low ground once again as well. Ooh, he does decide to turn back around. Ooh, one of those Stalkers ends up dying. Second one also dies there to the lock-on ability of the Cyclone. You can see the amount of damage that these units deal. And I think eventually this will be pushed back. Alright. Now keep in mind, Goblin, by going for this push, did delay his own expansion for quite a while. So while a Nexus is finally coming up, it's quite a bit later than that command center. So I think that Clem, all things considered, is probably pretty happy. He ended up losing, he ended up losing 4 of those Terran SCVs. And he got 1 of the probe kills as well. I think that's manageable. And I think this is probably a relatively even start. Now, I think this Marine, yeah, it's looking for where that set of Stalkers came from. He doesn't know where the proxy is. I think it will be found here eventually. If he doesn't, though, if he doesn't find this could hurt quite a bit, because this can still be used to warp in from a little while later into the game. But I think that eventually he should be able to figure out roughly where all of these units came from. And there we go. Yep. The gateway will be spotted. All right. So, it is going to be a siege tank follow-up right here by Clem. You can use that defensively, but obviously you can always push across the map with that as well. We see in the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, mostly just continued Stalker production. So, Goblin does indeed have the Blink upgrade coming up here as well. That one is quite a bit later than you normally see. An Observer is making its way down towards the other side of the map, and we also have that Hallucinated Phoenix right now confirming precisely what's going on. So it will scout the timing right there of the engineering bay. It will scout the siege tank right now, as well as the fact that most of those Terran units are sitting at home. And that's really what he needs to know right now. You don't want to be caught off guard against a Terran army that is making its way to your side of the map without you being aware of it. And, well, there we have it. Goblin will be able to see right now that indeed some of those Terran units, as well as a few of the boys, have been pulled. And it looks like they want to go towards the other side. Now, I like this a lot. Okay, so yeah, Goblin knows that the army is moving across. He put the Stalkers on the high ground. Oh, that's a free medevac kill. Really nicely done there. It's gotta be careful though, the lock-on obviously, oh man, that deals so much damage. Yeah, one of those Stalkers certainly will go down. The Observer actually, I think that's the second one, also ended up dying. Strategic Recall will be used there. A couple of shield batteries are being set up on the top of the ramp, but Blink is not done just yet. There's no Immortal available, and that Siege Tank is already on this side of the map. That's gonna hurt quite a bit. The Sentry is available, but bit of a later force field than you ideally wanted to, and a bunker is going up right now here for Clem. I think eventually, though, this will be picked off just fine, but this certainly is already allowing that siege tank from the distance, right, to deal a lot of damage. The double shield battery also going down at the exact same time. All of the SCVs, though, were killed, and that's 8 worker kills here in total for our Protoss player in blue. Another Observer, though, available right now. It's gonna spot exactly what's going on. I love the fact that another siege tank made its way down right now, and Liberator also made its way across. So this combination of units right here really does allow you to start slow pushing. How are you gonna engage this right now if you're Goblin? He needs to try and mitigate some of that splash damage that these siege tanks deal, but he has to be extremely careful. There's no War Prism out or anything along those lines, so he can't really juggle. All he needs to do right now, I guess, is get those Immortals to start hitting away at the siege tank. Now, one of the tanks is unsieging. Immediate blink forward right there by Goblin. He's gonna go after, at the very least, one of those one of those siege tanks. The Liberator also ends up going down, but that is a substantial amount of Stalker losses as well. 8 in total so far in this game. I love that Observer, though. Really showing him exactly what's going on. But the question is, sometimes you don't actually want to see that you're gonna lose, right? You'd rather have an Immortal instead. Ooh, solid control there, though. Oh, look at that. Trying to abuse the splash damage of that siege tank on those Marines as well. It didn't end up working that time around. I think that Clem manually target fired right there with that siege tank to get the perfect hits off, but that was some solid control there by Goblin, and he eventually does manage to push that back. But the thing is, was that enough? Okay, so units lost-wise, it is gonna be slightly in favor of Protoss. I guess that's cool, right? I guess that's alright. However, tech-wise, I don't really mind the situation that Clem is in. I mean, he's got himself some solid upgrades. He's getting himself Combat Shield as well as Stimpack right now. He survived that early game, and that's usually where Terran players currently struggle quite a bit against Protoss. I think this is also the sweet spot for Clem. He's a very strong, well-rounded Terran player, but I in particular really like his mid-game. That's where he seems to shine the most. Already, though, the Stalkers once again being a nuisance. The third command center is now going up, and it has been spotted by Protoss as well. And I guess once again an Observer will be picked off. How many Observers have gone down so far? 3 Observers. Man, Clem, the Observer murderer, has done a great job at exactly that so far. But this is so annoying, though, right? A couple of Stalkers poking forward, blinking away once again, picking up the SCV that's building that command center here as well. All right, so here we are in the mid-game. It's been a chaotic early game, right? We've seen a lot of aggression from both sides. Both players looking to end the game early. Didn't really happen. They both took a lot of losses, but I think we have arrived at a mid-game that is relatively even. Ooh. Oh, that got hurt quite a bit. Do they have Blink? Oh no, they just use Blink to try and cover that distance as well. I was gonna say that would have been insane if you could pick up one of those medevacs for free. Well, I still don't mind this though. Ooh, one big Widowmine connection there does damage a lot of the Stalkers, kills one of them as well. And I think this will now finally allow Clem once again the opportunity to move across. He did end up losing quite a few units there, so good control by Goblin. But the thing that Goblin lacks right now is splash damage. There's no Colossus, there's no Disruptors, there's just Zealots and Stalkers mostly, right? A couple of those Immortals obviously are useful as well, but this certainly is still a mostly Stalker Zealot-based army. Now, there's one medevac right here on the left-hand side that I think Clem is gonna try and utilize as well. This may actually be a fake push to try and push that Protoss player's attention towards the other side. Because while this is going on, a Widowmine drop is currently unloading in the mineral line at the natural. There's no response just yet from Goblin, and he ends up losing 14 probes in just a matter of seconds. Those Terran units, man, if they could smile, they have a smug smile on their face right now. They just stimped, they used their combat drugs, and they ran away. And that certainly now is a nice little advantage here for our Terran player in red. Whew, that's a lot of worker kills all of a sudden. Well, actually, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, that's still 9 SCVs that ended up going down here. But it does sort of put the clock right here on Goblin's playstyle. And what I was trying to say, he doesn't have splash damage, right? So pushing forward right here is hard. Now, he does get himself 2 of those free medevacs, it looks like. Still, though, those Widowmines obviously very, very scary. Is that medevac still out there somewhere? I think it may have been. Oh yeah, it is still out there. Once again, oh man, the Widowmine drop. It's gonna be such a nuisance. And that's the thing. If you don't have splash damage, it's hard to deal with this Terran army, because Marine Marauder medevac, it traits so very efficiently. But at the same time, if you don't have like a Stargate opener, or you don't have a couple of Stalkers to leave at home, you can't really afford that if you're forced into this position. You just always have to worry about this medevac drop that's not gonna leave. This medevac is gonna continue hanging out here on the left-hand side of the map, and it's gonna continuously poke in as soon as this Protoss army is moving across. Now, finally, we do see that Colossus tech coming up. So, Extended Thermal Lens is now also being researched. Goblin is gonna go for the splash damage that these Colossi can provide. Okay. I like what Clem is doing, though. He set himself up with a nice little advantage, and now he's sitting back, using the high ground here. Once again, these Widowmine drops are ridiculously strong. How many workers is that now? 24 probes. Oh, man. It's this one medevac with a couple of those Widowmines that has 100% brought the game right here in the favor of Clem. The thing is, though, I like Goblin's unit composition. Right, now that he's got the Colossus joining in, if he gets like a second Colossum or like a War Prism or something, he can start dealing a lot more damage here. This Terran army is not nearly as sophisticated, right? It's just Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and Widowmines. Still though, supply count certainly in favor right now for Clem. Stalkers moving forward, trying to get a little bit of damage in as well. Ooh, attempted force fields there, trying to slice off some of that army, but keep in mind, still, we have that threat of the medevac on the left-hand side. Well, at this point, I guess there's not really that much to kill in the natural either. But once again, right, the Widowmines are gonna unload. Oh, one of them looks like it's gonna unload in the natural, while the armies are moving around. The other one will head towards the main base instead. And oh my god, these Widowmines are dealing so much hurt. This is just such a nuisance, right? Goblin wanted to push there, but now he's once again forced to warp in units inside of the main, and while eventually that medevac will get killed, I think this is a really, really solid position that Clem is going to be happy with. Still though, gotta be careful. Those Marines and Marauders, they are juicy targets for the Colossus. Colossus right there on the left-hand side, taking a little bit of damage, but already weakening up a lot of those units as well and killing several of them. 4th Command Center now is mining on the low ground though. Right? And Goblin is still sitting on 3 bases here at the very most. Clem is controlling this game really, really nicely. Right now, he's also got the army to continuously drop, apparently. He's going to start splitting up some of his Terran units to maybe do some counterattack potential. The thing is, Colossi are strong in really straight-up engagements. They're not that good when it comes to splitting up your units, right? I mean, you can't really split a Colossus in 2. So here we go. Once again, Medevacs unloading right there at that natural. And I've not seen a lot of Protoss versus Terran games on this map just yet. I think, by the way, a couple of Zealots here went to town. But this area over here is extremely scary. Oh, man. 1 medevac. No, Jerry! No! Jerry! Oh, man. Didn't get the hot evac. Sorry about that, Jerry. But this location right here, it certainly is really scary for Protoss players in this matchup. There's a lot of drop potential. And while Clem is distracting his opponent in the main base, he's now pushing forward with an army towards the 3rd expansion instead. Stalkers trying to make their way across, but that is going to be a lot of damage in just a couple of seconds. And while the Colossus, once again, try to make their way over there, the 3rd Nexus is already long gone by the time that this Protoss army regrouped. Man, Clem's mid game is really solid. He's done an excellent job so far. The thing is, though, while this is all going on, right, a lot of Terran players, or a lot of Terran units have gone down as well. So look at that. Once again, Zealots actually are also picking up some of those units. But Terran has not been trading very efficiently here. And throughout this game, a lot more Terran units have gone down than Protoss units did. So this does allow Goblin right now to go for one big assault. And this is almost like an all-in right now. Does he have a prism here? I guess he doesn't anymore, eh? Not a second prism available, but this does mean, though, that there is a very, very big, scary Protoss army making its way across the map. Liberators, though, really good. Obviously, that planetary fortress, I love that positioning. This makes me think of chess, right? In the center of the board is your strongest position. This is almost like the center of the board, as that planetary is now going to start helping out in this engagement as well. Good force fields, though, but those Liberators are sieging away at all of those Protoss units from a distance, and it is forcing Goblin to back up right now towards the safety of that high ground. But the longer that this goes on, the bigger this army of the Terran player becomes, and he doesn't even really need to trade that efficiently anymore. Liberators sieging from the left-hand side. They're going after as many of those Protoss units as possible. Once again, great force fields, but there's no prism available. Goblin can't really reinforce this. And with a really strong mid-game, Clem is the one that obtains the victory in this match, using that medevac on the left-hand side to kill so many of those probes. The Widow Mines, obviously. I guess the medevac didn't kill anything, but those Widow Mines certainly did allow Clem to get so much leverage throughout this game. And I think he played that out really nicely, especially considering that really aggressive early game from Goblin. Now, I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed the content, I upload pretty much every single day a ton of StarCraft content. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon, so you get notifications as soon as I upload future videos. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.